Hey, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a very long time since I've seen you and I've talked to you guys, and I have 3 justifications for it. And I know I always say this, but I'm in between exams again. This is because if you're in the CIE system, you know what mocks are. I don't know if American high schools or other schools do this, but mocks are basically pre-exams that prepare you for your final exams for your CIE. I'm in between mocks right now, which is exhausting. It's very tiring. I'm very tired, and I still have like 1, 2, 3. I still have 4 left, which isn't fun, but I had like a 5-day break, so I was like, let's film. Second reason I have not posted in a while is because I just haven't had time. School's been very exhausting, but also there was a week in between that I was just off from school. We didn't have any classes in, and I didn't post anything and I didn't make anything because I got sick. And it wasn't the exciting kind of sick, it was the I'm okay, I just lost my voice and I couldn't speak, which I've never been through before, which was very annoying because I'm like a very talkative person, and so I just had to like shut up for a while, which I didn't enjoy. And the third reason is I'm graduating, and it's been a very busy few months. There's a lot of like graduation traditions, end of the year traditions that like our school does, and they always require a lot of time and energy, and then other stuff has been happening which requires mental energy, and I just haven't had the capacity to sit in front of like a camera and talk about books. But I've missed talking about books, and I've missed talking to you guys, and so we're gonna ramble about the books I've read, which brings me to the topic of today's video, which is the 20 books I read in the past 2 months, since I didn't do a January wrap-up and obviously a February wrap-up either. I know it's almost like the middle of March. I decided I'm just gonna merge those two together and we're gonna talk about them. I read 20 books in the past 2 months. It's been a busy few months. I personally think I could have read more, and the reason I didn't is because there's certain days in between, which like today, I haven't read anything in the past 2 days, and there's just certain days in between where I'm just very burnt out, and even reading takes energy from that sometimes when it's not like as relaxing as I want it to be, which is why here we are, and we're gonna talk about the books now. So we start off strong with Always Only You by Chloe Leese, and I absolutely loved this book. This was, I think, the second book in the Bergman Brothers series, if I'm right. Yes, it was the second book. And this was like a hockey romance, and as I go through the books I've read in the past 2 months, you guys will realize I have been very obsessed with hockey romances, and I'll explain to you as I move on. But this was a hockey romance. It was a Grumpy Sunshine thing. It was like a workplace romance, and it was absolutely so very cute. I love Chloe Leese's writing. I love the Bergman brothers and the Bergman family. They're just so endearing and they're so cute. And if you guys know me, you know that I love when like each book is of a different sibling. Like I feel like there's nothing better than each sibling having a book, or like 2 books. I love that stuff. So I gave it a 4 stars. It was very cute. Just wasn't phenomenal, mind-blowing, stays with me. But the next book I read was Ever After Always, which is the 3rd book in the Bergman Brothers series. And this was a second chance romance, and this was actually a Bergman sister book. And I absolutely loved it. So this is like the Aiden and Freya have been in a marriage together and they've been together for 10 years. And their marriage is kind of in shambles because they've just had a lot of distance in between them, and they haven't been communicating very well. There's no miscommunication, there's just lack of communication. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's also it's Freya's parents' anniversary, and they're all going on this cruise, like the whole family, like on this vacation getaway, not a cruise, like a vacation getaway. And so Aiden and Freya have to act like, you know, everything's okay, because all of her siblings kind of look up to Aiden and Freya and their relationship, and she's like, shit, I can't ruin my dad and my mom's anniversary getaway, so we have to act like everything is a-okay. And you know, they started going to therapy together, and they started falling back in love, and it was just so endearing, and I gave this a 5 stars because it was very cute. I loved it very much. Next up, I read a physical book. I read Love in the Time of Serial Killers. This was a 3.5 for me. Wasn't my favorite. If you're into true crime and like podcasts, like crime podcasts and like just murder mysteries and all of that stuff, I think you guys will probably like this book. So it's about this girl. She moves into her dad's house after her dad passes away, and she basically has to clean the house up, and she has to like sell the house. And as she's cleaning the house up, she has a neighbor, and this neighbor is very cute and he's very helpful. And their first interaction is in the middle of the night when she's trying to move a desk into the house, and he's like, do you want any help? And so she doesn't know he's her neighbor at this point. He's this man who's standing in her driveway barefoot, and she's like, okay, he is a serial killer. Here's 3 other serial killers who I can think of that probably have the same tactic. I don't need your help. And as she moves on, she's like, oh shit, that was my neighbor. And you know, it's cute, it's nice. The only reason, I don't know, it just wasn't amazing. Low-key regret buying it. I could have read this on my phone. So I have this thing, by the way, straying away from my topic, I have this thing where I only buy books I feel like I'm going to love. I don't like buying books that I just don't think I'm going to like, and because I can read them on my phone without wasting any money. So yeah, that was that. It was a 3.5 for me, I'll say. Next up is Consider Me. This is, what a book. This is a 5 stars for me. This was amazing. I loved Carter and Olivia. I loved how emotionally mature Carter was, and I loved how charming and endearing this guy was. And Olivia, like, she was such a strong character. She was so funny, and it was a great book. I just think I love this series. I love Playing for Keeps. I love this series. It's amazing. The next book I read was Play With Me, which is the second book in the same series, and this was a 4.5 for me. This was Carter's sister and his teammate having like a romance, and it was like a not forced proximity. They live in the same apartment building, and you know, she kind of likes Garrett and Garrett kind of likes her, but Garrett's kind of shy around her, and she's always so annoyed, and she's always like, you know, I'm just gonna push his buttons a bit. And it was so endearing. It was so cute. I love this series. I love how emotionally mature the characters are, because a lot of times we see a lot of like male main characters, and I don't think we realize, but they can be very emotionally stupid. Like, these guys have no intelligence in terms of emotionality or just like, you know, mental intelligence. Like, these guys act like goddamn children, but these guys are like, you know, in touch with their feelings. It was a very healthily written main character, like, who knows about his faults, who's willing to fix his faults. And I just really loved both of these books. They're hockey romances, and I think they were absolutely amazing. Next up, I read The Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was a 4.5 for me, which in hindsight, I think it was a 4 for me. It was very cute. It was a workplace romance. If you guys have seen Set It Up on Netflix, it's Zoe Deutsch. I'm so sorry, I don't know her last name. It's a very white name, is all I'm gonna say. That's like my only justification for it. But yes, it was nice. I recently found out she is problematic, so I will not be talking about this more. Moving on, we read Mile High. What a book, guys! It was so cute. This is also another hockey romance, and this has Xanders, who is this guy who's like the alternate captain for this hockey team, and he's like seen as this playboy. Like, his image is like a playboy. He's like hockey's bad boy, and his best friend is Madison, Eli Madison, who's the golden boy of hockey, and they're best friends. One of them's the captain. Madison's the captain. He's the alternate captain, and you know, they have this opposing image because that's like what their publicist has been like pushing on to them. And you know, it's been 10 years. He's been living this ruse of this bad boy. He's actually a really nice guy. Anyways, he gets on a plane for the new season, and he finds out that this is the plane and the same like staff is going to be with them for the whole season. And then he sees the woman who is this flight attendant, and she's telling them about like the safety precautions. And you know, when they're like, oh, this is the seatbelt, you're gonna pull, push like this, that's the emergency exit, all of that stuff. And he's like, damn, she's kind of pretty. I kind of like her. And then he annoys her, and then she's like, God, he's so good looking, but he's so annoying, and I want to punch his face. And throughout this time, you know, they're not allowed to be together. So first they become friends, and then, you know, they become so much more, and it's like a forbidden romance because like the workers aren't allowed to fraternize with like the players, and it's just, it's very cute. I really liked it. Next up, I read Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, which was also a 4 stars for me. This was like an academic rivals to lovers. It was very cute. It was like a frenemies situation, and they're both competing to get this scholarship for like college, and it was very cute. Like, it was very cute. It had plus size female character representation. It also had OCD representation, which I really enjoyed like reading about, in the sense that, you know, it was done very, very well. There's this one part that stood out to me, and I have to talk about it. Like, I think it was, I don't know why, I found it so cute. Like, I just sit there and be like, That's really cute. So these guys, they used to be best friends when they were kids, but something happened. They're not really friends anymore. I'm not gonna give it away. And now she kind of hates him. He's this sunshine guy. She's the grumpy girl, and she hates him. And they're at this camp together, and they're lying next to each other. And then he says something, he jokes about something, and then she like punches him in the shoulder, but then she gets up and she punches him in the other shoulder because she knows that he has OCD, and he likes when, you know, feelings are equalized. And then he's like, damn, you remember that, you remember my like thing with like equal feelings. And then she's like, yeah. And then he's like, well, you didn't have to, I've worked through it. I don't, like, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but that was very nice, thank you. And I don't know why, I found that very cute. It was very sweet. Next up, I read Addicted After All. I annotated it a bunch, you guys can see. This is one of my favorite series ever. I've talked about this. I don't actually talk about this. I like to gatekeep this because I know people don't like the series, and I understand why. But I don't know how to explain how much I resonate with Lily and Lauren and a lot of the other characters, but Lily and Lauren specifically are just so personal to me. I don't know how to explain it, how much I love these two characters, like so much. And this was a 5. This was like, if I could give it like a 10, I would. It was amazing. I loved seeing them grow. I loved seeing this part of their journey, and it made me emotional. I'm not above admitting, like, I teared up a few times. I was like, oh my god, they've made it this far. Like, that's great. And there's also hard conversations, like the one Connor and Lauren have, where he jokes about the alcohol that he can supply. And I think everyone knows. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And they have a conversation in the study room, and I was like, damn. When did I get so attached? I mean, I know I was attached. I mean, I've reread like the series up to here like so many times. It's actually mentally ill, like, you know. But this was amazing. I loved it so much. Do check trigger warnings if you choose to get into the series. If you do and you don't like the series, don't let me know. I don't give a shit. Lovingly. Because a lot of people have been doing that, by the way. I really hate when people text me. They're like, I read this book because of you and I hated it. And I was like, okay, I didn't ask. Next up, we read The Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I'm really annoyed by its cover because I have the indie pub, like the indie published cover for terms and conditions. This cover really annoyed me. I enjoyed this book a lot too. I annotated it a bunch. This is a second chance romance. This was the last book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and it was very cute. I really enjoyed it. I love second chance romances. It's like a childhood love. He goes back to the place that his grandfather has left him, and basically what he has to do is he has to like revamp and then sell the place. And you know, to do that he has to like get to Lake Wisteria, and he gets to Lake Wisteria and he's like, is there someone living in my house? And then he goes inside and it's her, Alana. I don't know why I said Camila. I'm so sorry. I don't know why what was I looking at? I was looking at something. I don't know why I said Camila. Moving on. Yeah, and Alana's there, and then he's like, whoa, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, your grandfather told me I can live here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm living here. This is my place. I've been living here for a long time. And he's like, oh, I gotta sell this place so I can get my inheritance. So he doesn't tell her about the inheritance. But then she's like, okay, I see. And so then they start like working together, and they're trying to revamp the place, they're trying to make it better. But during this time, you know, they're also falling back in love, especially because both of them never fell out of love. They just had to stop being together for their own, yeah. Next up, I read Jasperville by Devney Perry, and honestly, anything Devney Perry writes, I will eat up. This was a marriage of convenience. It was an accidental marriage of convenience, and I really liked it. It was very cute. I gave it a 4.75. Like, it was very cute. There was like stuff happening. I love, again, sibling books, and this is no different. I also read Breakaway by Grace Riley, and this book is also a hockey romance, but it's way steamier than I expected. Like, if you love a lot of spiciness in your books, go for it. I was not expecting that much. I was not expecting as much as it was, but it was very cute. It was very endearing. The main character, the male main character, again, was just a sweetheart, and he was so patient and willing to help the girl through her problems, and I was like, that's very nice of him. I'm realizing the sun's like coming on my face. Let me adjust this. There we go. Yeah, so it was very endearing, and I really liked it. I gave it a 4 stars. I read I also read The Spy in 3B, which was like this spy novella. It was like 200 pages long. I really liked it. It was very cute. The characters were just lacking some things, which is why I gave it a 3.75. I just think it could have been better. I don't know why, it was a little bit dry for me. Like, the characters were just falling short. They didn't have the depth that I want some characters to have, and I was really sad about it, but it was nice. It wasn't bad. I also read the Tarkanov Empire, like, duology, at least the 2 books that are out yet, which is The Kingpin's Fox Club and The Empress of Poisons. Together, I gave them a 4 stars. Like, the duology so far, very nice. It's a dark romance, it's a mafia romance. The first book I enjoyed way more than I did the second book. The second book was actually kind of disappointing. I gave it a 3.5. I just think that they were building up the climax so much, and then it just got resolved in a very fulfilling manner, where I was just like, okay, so what about everything? I mean, you guys have been planning for this for like 1.5 books. All of your lives got uprooted for this situation, and it's done. Like, that was very unfulfilling and unassuming, and I just did not like it at all. Next up I read The Right Move, which is the second book in the Windy City series. The first book was Mile High. The Right Move is a best friend's brother romance. It's a forced proximity because they're sharing an apartment this time romance, and it was one of the best books I've read. Like, I genuinely think this book was absolutely amazing, and I think if you haven't read this book, you need to drop everything and read this book, because this was a basketball romance, and Ryan Shea is just absolutely so wonderfully written, and so is Indy. Like, you know, this author, Liz Tomford, like, put her all into this. Like, she wasn't joking when she wrote this book. It was amazing, and I just think everyone should read it. I reread The Kiss Quotient, which is one of my favorite books ever. I was in a car when I started rereading it, and I think I reread it in like 3 hours because I just started and I couldn't stop. 5 out of 5. Everyone should read The Kiss Quotient. I don't talk about it enough. Stella and Michael are very, very endearing. After I read the book, I actually texted one of my friends, and I sent her like 3-minute long voice messages just rambling about how much I love Stella and Michael, which, thank you, Sarah. I love you so much for listening to me. The last physical book I read in the past 2 months is The Romance Book Club, and I have talked about this on my Instagram, on my Twitter, and on my TikTok, so I don't know if I should talk about it over here as well, but The Romance Book Club is one of my favorite books of all time recently. Like, it's this very cute marriage in trouble, marriage in shambles, like, trope where this guy, Gavin Scott, is this hotshot baseball player, and his wife wants a divorce. But, you know, he loves her, and he's like, I wanna make this work. I want to get her back. How do I do it? And all of us find him in the first chapter drunk in a hotel, like, room. So he's just drinking alone in a room, and he's crying, and then his teammates come in, and they're like, you look pathetic. We're going to take you someplace, and you can't talk about it. And he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then they get him sober. They take him to Braden's basement, one of the team members' basement, and they're like, we read romances so that we can keep our marriages, our relationship, our engagements, like, and our significant others, all in all, we just want to keep them happy. And the only way we found we can do that is if we read romances and we listen to what they're trying to tell us, and we apply that stuff. So then they give him a romance, which is this historical romance, and then he's like, okay, you guys are like joking with me. But then they're like, no, this is no joking matter. You have to read this and you will get the back. And it's just very funny. And I think it's very endearing how much, like, it's so endearing how much he's in love with her, and how much he's willing to put in, like, the effort to change himself for her. And I just really liked this book. And the last book I read, the 20th book I read, is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. The author is extremely problematic. I will not be talking about my rating and my thoughts on the book. That is all I will say for this. That is all for the video I have today. Thank you guys so much for listening to me talk about books and just be very annoying and ramble about books. It really does mean a lot to me. I don't know if any of you are still here. If you are, you're a real one. I really love you. Thank you so much for being here. I will try to be more regular, but I can't promise it because it's going to be a very, very, very busy few months, but I'm trying. If you have any recommendations, any requests for books, please leave them down below. I will get to them. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead, and I really do hope to see you guys soon. And that is all I have to say. Thank you. If you like my content, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I will be reading. That is all. I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.